climate justice at COP30. My name is Luiz Henrique Saido. I am the coordinator of the National Youth Council in Brazil, and I have the great honor to be here representing the Lutheran World Federation while moderating this press conference. We are bringing together young climate advocates from across the globe who are demanding that political commitments translate into real, equitable action, rooted in human rights, community resilience, and intergenerational responsibility. Young people around the world are raising awareness, organizing events, proposing climate policy solutions, and building community resilience. With COP30 taking place in the Amazon region, the voices of young people are crucial in ensuring that climate action protects communities, ecosystems, and the future. Our advocacy comes to life through action. In my region, Latin America and the Caribbean, we've been bringing this action through the campaign Sembrando el Camino hacia la COP30. Young people led a regional effort to plant over 15,000 native trees as a symbol of hope and restoration. Through the ACT Youth Call to Action, young people worldwide are speaking out against the systemic crises that threaten our shared planet, exposing an unsustainable development model and an ethical failure towards our shared planet. I'm pleased to introduce our panel Young Faith Leaders, which are bringing 4 minutes reflections on climate action and youth advocacy. Starting with Maria Eduarda Miller from Brazil, representing the Evangelical Church of the Lutheran Confession in Brazil. Maria Eduarda, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Luis. Good afternoon, all. My name is Maria Eduarda Miller. I'm 18 years old, and I'm representing the youth of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Brazil. Dear brothers and sisters, the world is dying day by day. God's creation is speaking, and it tells us that we have no more time. 3 decades have passed since climate change was officially recognized, and with each passing day, each moment we fail to act, whether out of fear of being the first or believing that this crisis will not affect us, is another step we take towards the extinction of our common home. Pachamama begs us. She asks mercy from the ash, and sheds tears that flood the lives of those who have contributed little to her destruction. Peoples, communities, human beings who day after day see their homes destroyed, their forests burned, their children dying of hunger, and their history erased by those who claim to be fighting for progress. Vulnerable people who deserve to have their voices recognized and who deserve social, economic, and climate justice. There is no point in all leaders of the world committing to climate agreements if they are not based on justice. The vulnerable groups are on the front line of this struggle, and they are not victims. They are the answer and the way we must follow so that today's young can have a home tomorrow. We are the first generation to feel the consequences of past action, and the last one capable of doing something to ensure that our children have the chance to be what we should be, just young people. Last year, the state of Rio Grande do Sul, a state next to mine here in Brazil, witnessed the greatest disaster in its history. Over 2 million people saw the goods won over a lifetime taken away by flood. In a few days, 185 lives were lost, and no progress can compensate for that. The crisis we are experiencing affects everyone, but some are more exposed than others. And therefore, it is crucial that these people are immediately empowered to protect common home and themselves from impacts caused by actions that no longer belong to this reality. Climate finance is not past or future, it is present. and must be provided through common but different responsibilities. The major gas emitters responsible for this crisis must take responsibility. They must provide grants for climate finance and not take advantage of this crisis to impose their green colonialism through endless laws. Keep global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius. It's not a question anymore. It's a necessity. Our survival can no longer depend on promise or climate policy just on paper. Actions must be taken now, because the past is history, the present has already gone, and the future that we want begins now. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria, for this powerful reflection. And now, we're going to listen to Julia Ransberg, a Sami indigenous from the Sápmi region in Sweden, representing the World Council of Churches. Julia, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Where I came from, the land itself is a teacher, a caregiver, and a provider. I grew up learning to listen, just not with my ears, but with my whole body. How to read the snow, how to understand the wind, to notice when the reindeers move differently and chooses other paths. How to be aware when the birds fall silent and notice when the forest no longer speaks the way it used to. For generations, my people have lived in relationship with nature, not above it, not outside it, but as a part of it. We are nature. Our knowledge depends on our presence in being, on paying attention to the subtle signals of life around us in our everyday life. When you live close to the land, you notice those changes, but with the slow ones, it's hard to understand the magnitude. What shifts a little each year, it can suddenly become a collapse. And now land is crying out for our help. The silence in the mountains, forests, and rivers has become a loud alarm. In the Arctic region, the 1.5 target is already out of reach. The warming here is 2 to 3 times faster than the global average, so we are already close to 3 degrees. And the reindeers, who already struggle to survive because 70% of their lichen pastures have been destroyed by industrial forestry, now, with the climate crisis, face even harder winters. When the temperatures shift from +5 to 15 minus overnight, the snow turns to ice, and the ice locks away their food. They dig and dig in the forests, but there's no chance they can reach the lichen under the thick layers of ice. The reindeers are starving, and with them, our way of life, and it's also our entire culture. As indigenous, our languages, songs, and stories comes from different parts of the world, yet they share the same heartbeat. From the Arctic to the Amazon, from the Pacific island to the forests of Sápmi, we speak of the same struggle and the same love for Earth and all of the creation. What connects us is our shared responsibility to care for the land that sustains all of life, to uphold the sacred relationship with Mother Earth. Protecting our life is protecting the whole planet. The climate crisis knows no borders, but those who are impacted the most are the ones who contributed the least to all of emissions. The people who live closest to land, who still understand our dependency on its balance for food, for water, for life, we are the first to see the changes and the first to bear witness and bear the weight of the crisis we are living in. While others measure the emissions in numbers, we measure them in lives, in lost grazing lands, in melting ice and rising seas, in the extreme weather and natural disasters that destroy our homes and our hope, in the silence of the species that no longer return to our land. The alarm is ringing, and we, the young generation, are living and will continue to live with the consequences. Across the world, indigenous youth are raising their voices. We are demanding action, justice, and truth. Governments and decision makings are still not doing enough. And we are not asking for permission. We are claiming our place at the table because it's our future which is being decided there. We are not just victims of the climate crisis. We are a part of the solution. Our stewardship of the land, our knowledge, and our care for creation are the only way forward in a just transition. Thank you.
A clear call to action. We appreciate your perspective, Julia. Thank you. And next up, we'll listen to Ayana Evelyn from Barbados, representing the Anglican Communion.
Thank you, Louise. I speak today as a young Caribbean woman from Barbados and a member of the Anglican Communion. For us in small island developing states, the climate crisis is not a future threat. It's our daily reality. It's personal. We live in the hurricane season 6 months in a year. Every hurricane season brings the risk of homes washed away, coral reefs dying, and cultural traditions disappearing. Communities are being displaced, and recovery is often comes with more debt than relief. This has happened just recently before our eyes a few weeks ago in Jamaica. The area of Black River, one of the many communities that has been destroyed by Hurricane Melissa, one of the strongest hurricanes to impact that island. The damage sustained by Jamaica alone has already exceeded $8 billion, which is half of its GDP. And that dwarfs what the country has managed to gather so far in parametric catastrophic bonds. During my time as an intern at the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, working in the regional command center, I witnessed the devastation of Dominica firsthand during the passage of Hurricane Maria in 2017, destroying vegetation and flattening 19% of the homes. The Caribbean remains highly vulnerable to hurricanes and other climate-related events, which disrupt or extend projects of critical development, driving up costs. Natural disasters often force the cancellation of developmental projects as we are forced to rebuild rather than progressive development. We experience heavy downpours that now bring flood into our communities within minutes, or dry spells that lead to water shortages. These losses are often not recorded in reports, but they shape our everyday lives. This is when we talk about loss and damage. We're not asking for charity, we're calling for justice. The principle of common but differentiated responsibilities reminds us that while we share this planet, we don't share equal blame, and we don't have equal means to rebuild. Our islands within our limited means are doing everything that we can. We cannot repair this level of harm alone. And as right now, Barbados is trying to become 100% renewable and carbon neutral by 2030. And this goal is shared among other CARICOM member states. Loss and damage finance must be accessible, not debt creating, and based on responsibility. It must recognize that both economic and non-economic losses. The loss of homes, yes, is economic, but there are also the memories, the heritage, and the sense of belonging that can never be replaced. In Barbados, climate change is disrupting more than infrastructure. It's touching our cultural identity. Our beaches, where our families gather, where children learn to swim, where generations connect. Our fishermen in Oistins and Concept Bay and Sixmans Bay carry traditions that define community life. When the coastline erodes or fish stock move to other offshore areas, it threatens our livelihoods, but it also threatens our traditions that shape who we are. In Bridgetown, in Barbados, there's a historic area called Bridgetown and its historic garrison, which has been designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The threat of rising sea levels and intense storms threaten these buildings, damage to our historic heritage sites, and erase a part of our history. Loss and damage must be accessible to all. As youth and as people of faith, we carry a dual responsibility to repair the damage already done and to foster a generation that is more climate conscious, justice-oriented, and connected to creation than ever before. Around the world, young people are already mobilizing communities, influencing policy, and building resilience on the forefront of this crisis. We're not waiting for permission. We are leading. This is why our presence at COP is essential. Climate policy must be socially just, and inclusive, and accountable to future generations, the ones who will live longest with the decisions made in these rooms here today. Because of the work we do today, it's not just those already suffering loss or damage, it's for the children who deserve a livable, dignified future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayana. That was really moving. Now to reflect a little bit and to lead us into ethics and moral at the COP, I would like to call Miriam Elizabeth Solano Fromental from Panama, representing Memoria Indígena. Miriam, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Luis. Hi, my name is Miriam Solano, and I'm a Kuna woman from Panama. And today, I want to speak to you deep from our roots. I want to speak with you from the land that nourishes us and teaches us about life. When we were babies in our people, our mothers sang to us in the hammock, reminding us that the greatest ethic of life, it was to live in harmony with the earth and the Creator. These songs will tell us that our identity and our strength and our hope are rooted in the land. The earth is not only our home, it's our spirit, it's our legacy, it's our heart. And from this deep relationship, we understand that caring for the land is not just an ecological action, it's an act of moral and ethical justice that recognizes our responsibility to future generations and to all living beings. The land and their guardians are the true protagonists in building this future, a just future where actions must reflect respect, dignities, and human rights, the rights of indigenous people. Young indigenous people are here to say, enough words. We need actions. True climate justice requires concrete actions born from our spiritualities, cultures, knowledge, and practices, all rooted in the knowledge of indigenous people. We know that strengthening our system of indigenous knowledge, such as conserving seeds and applying sustainable methodologies, is crucial for facing the global crises that affect all of us. From our territories, we restore forests, protect water, and teach others how to live in harmony with Mother Earth. Because this is the very root of resilience, survival, love for the land, and the justice that we aspire to build. Our activism begins in our territories, in our countries, in our region, and it is interconnected when we take our voices to international forums, defending our rights and sharing practices rooted in indigenous knowledge that emerge from our way of understanding the land, water, and life itself. We educate, influence policies, and create economic models that combine sustainability and creativity. We fight against extractivism, which threatens our territories, because we know that the future of the planet and humanity depends on protecting these sacred places, symbols, and also our identity, life itself. But the great truth is that our dream will only become reality if the international community listens and acts with justice and morality. So COP30 must be a moment of awakening, where agreements are not just words, but concrete actions, closing the ambition gap, strengthening climate finance, protecting our territories, halting deforestation, and promoting biodiversity. From our roots and hearts, I tell you The future will be just only if we place the earth and the guardians at the center of action. Just as you hear these songs, as we hear the song or the kuna of my people, the mothers, the song of singing to her baby, it is time for our voices, our knowledge, and our rights to be protagonists in transforming the world, because only then we will build a future where climate justice is tangible reality, not just a dream. Because true justice is not only demanded with words, it is lived with love, with determination, and with active actions, born from a deep respect for life and the land. These actions begin in our neighborhood, in our community, in our region, and in our countries, and in the entire world. It is time to mobilize, to fight, and to change the destiny of the planet for the justice of a future generation. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing such a special and vital message with us today, Miriam. And now we have some time for questions. So the floor is open for who wants to ask something for the participants. Yes. We have one question here.
Hello, and thank you for those moving testimonies. I wonder what your message would be for other youth and young adults, particularly those of faith, coming from the COP. What would your message be, your call be to them?
Thank you. Do we have more questions?
Thank you. I have a question. What do you think are the biggest challenges for the youth and for the indigenous people to implement effective loss and damage measures as you talk?
Okay, do we still have more questions? So we're gonna, I'm gonna pass the phone first for, yes.
One question. What actions are needed to ensure that the voices indigenous women are heard and truly represented at COP?
Yes, thank you. So I'm passing the phone for, I'm passing the mic first for Julia to answer the first question. What are youth perspectives at COP?
Yes, I think to be here at COP in this ecumenical gathering and for representing youth in faith, the message would be to keep organized, keep search for those places where you can meet and encourage each other to continue this fighting. Because when I'm alone up in the mountains, last winter I was tracking a wolverine who had hunting the reindeer herd, and we found around 80 reindeers who had drowned because the ice is too thin due to the climate crisis. And then you are sitting there alone, see all those reindeers that have drowned, even depends, it's January, it should be the coldest month of the year. Then all you can feel it as hope is a luxury thing, and we do not have time for hope. But when I'm here and meeting other youth and indigenous youth, I can still be hopeful because we see that we are raising our voices and we are demanding our place at the table, taking actions, sharing our stories. So I think that will be the message. Keep doing the great job all youth are doing out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. We're going to listen now from Maria.
Yes, I believe that as people of faith, it's our duty to protect God's creation and ensure that all people in the world live with dignity and with their rights respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Also now, listening from Ayana, what are the perspectives of a young woman leader here representing?
Can you repeat that? I didn't hear it quite clearly. I didn't hear the question quite clearly. Can you repeat?
For the question two? Okay, so I can also ask maybe for repeating the question, second question? Yes.
My question was, what are the challenges that the young people and the indigenous people has for implementing some actions about the loss and damage measures?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so one of the biggest challenges that there is for loss of damage is the sheer frequency and scale of climate disasters. I can't speak from an indigenous point of view, but I can speak from a small island context. We've been facing, in the last few years, hurricanes have been constantly hitting the Caribbean. Category 5 recently with Melissa. Hurricane Beryl 15 months ago, 2019, Hurricane Dorian in the Bahamas, and those hurricanes have decimated the economies of those countries. So climate change is just about survival, and these disasters are repeatedly becoming unaffordable for countries. They destroy basic infrastructure, drain public funds away from health and social services, and the countries are always trying to recover from that, which makes it extremely difficult to implement effective loss and damage measures. A second major thing that is also a challenge is the financial system itself. It most often than not leads to a slow, complicated, and often debt-creating situation for countries. So in Barbados, there's the Bridgetown Initiative, which was launched by our Prime Minister, Mia Motley, which has been pushing for the transformation of global financial architecture to be transformed so that vulnerable economies can rebuild without sinking further into debt. And the third challenge is political will. The wealthier countries must resist donor fatigue, as they're often called upon to donate and contribute to loss of damage and uphold their responsibility. And it is fair that those who have contributed most to climate change share the burden of fixing it. So the challenge is threefold. The scale of the disasters, the financial architecture is outdated, and the global commitment is uneven. Once these are addressed and it becomes more accessible, non-debt creating finance, countries like mine, and will be able to rebuild and progress more.
Thank you. And now passing the mic to Median, we would like to have an answer from indigenous women. Could you answer the third questions?
Can you repeat the question again? Could you repeat the
Can
question?
you repeat the question? Yes?
Gracias, muy buenas tardes. Para que después se lo traduzca en inglés, por favor. ¿Qué acciones son necesarias para garantizar que las voces indígenas realmente sean escuchadas y estén presentes en espacios como la COP30?
Okay, so we have like a really short time, but what are the actions that are needed for the voices of indigenous peoples to really be heard and listen here at the COP30, at the actions?
I think to ensure that the voices of indigenous people are heard or present in COP30 or in the future events that we gather for climate justice is essential that we must create spaces for meaningful, not just symbolic, but meaningful participation, making sure there are delegates from our people groups, guarantee their presence. Also, how do you say the word? Favorecer or give resources, translations, cultural knowledge, and making sure that the cultural knowledge is being heard and is being putting into places. So yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you. Well, youth are no longer asking to be heard. We are demonstrating solutions, leading movements, and building the future in real time. Climate justice will not be achieved by promises alone, but through accountability, courage, and shared responsibility. We call on decision makers at COP30 to act with the urgency that our generation and all generations to come deserve. We are grateful for everyone who joined us today. May the voices of youth continue to inspire ethical, rights-based, and inclusive climate action around the world. Thank you, and let's continue moving from words to action.